Hi, this is Ben with Accura Outdoors. We're with Jason with Owl's Pawn and Gun, and today we're talking about safes. So Jason's going to say some things about some materials and just kind of some features to look out for and kind of what's going on with safes.
Yeah. So one thing that we find what people are looking for, when you're looking for a safe, first thing I would say to look for is go into your budget.
Yeah.
What do you want to spend on a safe? And then the second thing I would look at is buy one size bigger than you think you can buy. A lot of people go in and they have a safe size they want. I got 13 guns that I want to fill that safe up with. That safe's going to fill up with those 13 guns if you're looking at a 24 gun safe right off the bat. So then you may want to look at a 30 gun safe. And that'll give you a little extra room to grow and go into that. And then price-wise, you're going to start talking, and we can probably talk about this a little bit more, but the thicker the steel, the higher the price is going to be. The higher the fire rating, the higher the price is going to be. So those things are you're going to consider when you're looking at a safe and going into it.
So as far as so you're saying the thickness of the steel and the fire rating, do those kind of go hand in hand?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you have a higher thickness, that means a
higher fire rating. Yeah.
Now, do they put anything in the safe?
Yeah, so you're going to have fireboard. Like this safe right here is lined inside completely with fireboard.
Okay.
So like this safe right here is 11 gauge steel thickness.
Okay.
But then it does have 2 layers of fireboard on the walls and 3 layers of fireboard on the top and bottom.
So why they put more on the top and bottom?
Your heat rises, so it's going to get hotter quicker on the top. So that's why they're going to go with that. Bottom, I don't know that answer, so I won't pretend like I know that one.
Maybe just make it even.
Yeah, make it in the depth of it. Yeah,
that makes sense. So, what's the thickness or the thickest metal that you'd have?
So for the safes that we carry, the thickest is a 7 gauge steel.
Okay.
So that's thick. Yeah.
And who would benefit from having something like that?
A lot of it's peace of mind for people, but then I see a lot of people like high value items where they really feel like they need to protect themselves. They're going to go 7 gauge steel. And then also I've seen it in not so much in this valley, but in high crime rate areas, they're going to go for the thicker steel. We've also seen in those California fires, the thicker steel, higher fire rated safes, they fared better than the 30-minute cheapo safe that you're going to see around. Yeah. And so I talked to, actually, hopefully you have time for this, but a dealer from California in one of the fires, when they would drive around after the fire, they saw chimneys standing and safes, and the higher end safes withstood it. And that was it. The rest of it was just burned to the ground.
That's crazy.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's definitely a selling point for,
yeah.
If you value your guns and you have enough money invested.
Exactly. Yeah, and you get a lot of guys in here that have some really high-end guns. You've seen it, and they want to protect those guns. So a little investment goes a long way.
So we talked about this earlier about, so say if it's a, whatever rating they give of, like, say it's 30 guns and whatever, what's your average of, so say it's 30 guns, but the average person, what does that really equate to?
I would say you're buying a 30 long gun safe. I'd say you're going to get between 20 and 24 long guns in that safe.
Okay.
If you're going to go, say you go 24 long gun safe, 15 to max 18.
Okay.
And the thing that we see is, and we talked about it earlier, scoped rifles.
Yes.
And the scopes we see are getting bigger
with
turrets and things, so they start growing into the back. And I'm going to take this off to show, but like in this style of a holder, these gun scopes are going to run onto this scope or onto these rifles.
Okay.
So then you're either going to have no scoped and then scoped rifles, and then you're going to have to figure out how to put them in there and stack them in there.
So would it be easier to have something that's like this?
Sometimes it's easier, but then I've talked to customers where it's difficult because with the scopes on them in these, you have to cant the butt out.
Okay.
And then they start crossing each other, and it makes it tougher. So there are different ways to do that. And there's no wrong or right. Different safe companies, there's a lot of different options. There's some safe companies that have swing outs that work for people. I've seen some safe companies that have spots in the door for some of the rifles. So honestly, whatever works for the customer and get their most bang for their buck.
So what are some features that you kind of push people, not because to sell, but that there's something that people don't consider until after the fact?
You know, gun capacity is a huge one. One thing I will say about fire rating to anybody, there is no standard in the safe industry, period.
Really?
Every company gets their fire rating a different way. There's no one standard. Yes, there's safes that are UL listed or California compliant, but there's no company that's testing them and giving them that fire rating. So you'll see a safe that's, I'm just going to give 30-minute example, but 30 minutes 1200 degrees, 30 minutes at 1450, and 30 minutes at 16 something. Well,
it's going to be totally different.
Yeah, because they've heated up the furnace at different times and did this different ways. So there is no standard in there. So fire rating, yes, but you got to look at more of the other features.
Do you think there would be a benefit for someone to come out with the fire rating? Like, this is the standard?
This would be awesome. I think for me, you know, I've sold safes for, 16 years now. And I just found that out recently, that there's no standard. So I thought all along that there was this big standard. There's not. And it's expensive for these companies to do it, but if they did, it would make the consumer, it'd be even for the consumer more than for a dealer or whatnot. But, you know, so then you got your fire rating. You're going to look at steel thickness on that, your capacity, and then also, like, say you only have 12 long guns, but you need to utilize your safe for other things. Look at what your safe can do. Like this safe here, for example, these are all interchangeable and movable, so you can adjust this safe to what your needs are. You know, they give you things like this, so you can use this as a shelf.
Okay.
So if you're going to store other things, like my wife, I was telling you, she found a lot of other stuff to put in the safe.
Yeah.
So she has a section that she can utilize.
Okay.
And then this is cool. This gets your pistols out of the way.
Yeah.
And then you can utilize your shelves for other things. This safe here, this has a cool pocket built in. So there's little things like this has extra fire line. Okay. So a lot of people use documents, birth certificates, titles. They'll utilize those so they'll last a little longer in a fire.
Okay.
So
what about, let's see, I want a dehumidifier. I know in Idaho we don't have as high of a humidity, but do you think it's still something that should be just standard?
So depending on where the safe is, I'll say that. Like we do a lot of deliveries, and half of the deliveries are in garages. Dehumidifier rod is a must, or desiccant cans.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to do the dehumidifier rod, but I would definitely go desiccant can. In the home, because the temperature is going to stay pretty stable, I would go. I wouldn't say it's a necessity.
Okay.
So yeah. Yeah.
I think the only other thing that, if it was me, as far as the internal is, and I know it's not a necessity, but I really like having the LED lights, because I mean when you're opening it up, most people saves are all dark, and it's nice being able to see everything, and you can kind of visualize what's in there. Because I have a homemade safe, but yeah, it's one of the things I wanted to add is LED lighting. Yeah, the
light kits are huge. The cool thing with some of these that we sell, they're all integrated with electrical outlet kits on them.
Oh, okay.
So all you have to do is plug the back into your outlet, and then plug whatever you're going to add into your safe in there. There are some other safes that it's a little more difficult to get power in and out of them. Okay. So that's another thing to look at, though. If you want to do lights or dehumidifiers, how you're gonna access it.
And then the last thing I was trying to remember to bring this up. So when I was looking at different safes, one of the things that I read was look at the thickness for the entire safe. Sometimes they'll do a rating for, like, say the door, and say it's like 18 gauge or whatever.
Right.
But then, like, the sides are like 22.
Correct.
So you want something that's going to be the same,
uniform around completely. Yeah. And a lot of these safe doors, and I'll kind of shut this so your camera can see it. This is what they consider a composite door. So you got steel, and then you have fireboard inside this.
Okay.
So a little different. They do make some that got 1/4-inch plate doors on them. So that's a little different that you got to look at too. Yeah. And then the bars, the closing bars, like this is This safe company is a little different. They use flat bar instead of the round bars that everybody's used to.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that they took from the military. That if you think of when the door's closed, a round bar is touching here.
Yeah.
Where that flat bar, you're having a surface area of that whole bar. So for prying on, it's much stronger.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So there's just little things that every safe company's going to do a little bit different. So makes it a challenge, but also the features that they give you are going to give you different specs.
Okay. So we got two example cases here. We got a digital and mechanical. So other than the obvious, what's the differences that you recommend for either or?
So it seems like we get 50% people want mechanical, 50% want digital.
Okay.
So the big difference is this lock we know has been around since the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the same since then as they are now. They're more difficult to get into just because you got to get the combo to open. So a lot of people go with this lock just because the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
When we go to electronic, way faster to get into.
Yeah.
But we know over time, and I'll probably get killed for saying this, electronics are going to fail.
Yeah. No, it's
Over time, we know that.
yeah.
So that's what you got to look at on this is it going to fail on you in the warranty period, or is it going to fail on you later on? The cool thing, and I'll use Liberty for an example, they just started offering lifetime warranties on their electronic locks.
That's awesome.
For $99. So it's cheap in the long run, because just to get a locksmith out to drill your safe is, say, $400 or $500.
So we'll just, hypothetically say, okay, so when you have the electronic one, is it plugged in the back?
No, so it's all battery operated. Like, cool thing like this, it's all accessible. You just drop that and drop your battery out and change it. So if this dies, and that's a huge question we get from customers, if my battery dies, what happens?
Yeah.
The combo's saved in your lock. So all you gotta do is change your battery out and just start with your combo. It doesn't default back to a different combo or factory default.
So now here's the hypothetical. Say battery works fine, it fails. That's when you have to have someone come out.
Yep, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'll use this as an example, but Liberty, under their warranty, they will pay for the locksmith to come out.
Okay.
And they do have a backup in this for a combo. If that backup combo doesn't work or the malfunctions somehow and that locksmith drills it, you get a new safe under that warranty.
Okay. That's cheap insurance.
That's really cheap insurance for $99. Yeah.
So what about the other newer ones, your biometrics?
Yeah.
Have you guys, what's your...
I have one in my office on my safe.
Okay.
Awesome. It's fast. I've only have my fingerprint in there, but it does have a digital front end as well, so you can put a combo in there. Super fast with the biometric side of it, and then we've tried other people with their fingerprints that won't open. The new biometrics, the old ones, if they use RF technology, the new one does.
Okay.
If your finger was wet at any point, it would not read your fingerprint.
Wow.
Now, if your fingerprint's wet, or if it's like on the side, it'll still read your fingerprint. So technology's come a long way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I know I've seen even smaller safes, like people with bedside safes. I've seen more of the biometric ones, and I've kind of been like, well, I don't know, but if they're that good now, it's kind of like
with the newer ones, they've come a long ways, and then they also have a new lockout where it's a digital on the front, and then you can flip a little deal up here, and then it's a mechanical as well.
That's kind of nice, having an extra feature.
You can have either or, so that way you're never locked out of your safe if you have a digital failure.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can still go with your mechanical lock and use it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that covers everything. Is there anything else you want people to know?
One thing I would tell people on a mechanical lock with a key, every key is the same.
Oh.
Something else I learned recently. So if you're relying on your key to just lock the lock instead of tumbling it, if anybody has that key, they can open that lock without tumbling.
So how would you protect yourself against that? Just tumbling it?
Making sure you tumble that and lock it.
Okay, so the key's only if you are at that.
So you can use this as a day lock. So right now, like this safe's unlocked.
Okay.
So I can open it and close it. and then I could take my key and turn it to 0 and just lock the safe, but it's not tumbled. It's not completely locked.
So
and that's what you got to do is lock it.
Just gotta make sure you just spin it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely good advice.
Just insight that I've learned
Yeah.
that I wouldn't have known unless I found it out. So yeah.
And then if someone were to come down here, any of your guys are good to talk to, or they should come to you directly?
I would talk to any of my guys here at my shop are good to talk to. And you know, if you find locks or safes with a lock that you want a mechanical on that safe, we change them out.
Okay.
So they're swappable too. So you could change this lock to a digital or that lock to a mechanical. You could do those things, and we do all that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I think that wraps it up. So if you guys have any questions, definitely come down to Al's Gun and Pawn in Caldwell, Idaho, and they'll definitely hook you up. And stay safe, and I'll see you on the range.